The palace of Eldara stretched across the sky like a crystal lattice, its towers reflecting the pale light of the twin suns. Within its halls, the atmosphere was one of solemn tradition, and yet today it was strained with tension. Princess Lyra, the youngest of the royal line, walked through the corridors with a grace that could make even the coldest courtier pause. But her mind was restless. Caught between duty and an emotion she barely understood herself. Her father, King Therion, ruled with precision and authority, his eyes as sharp as the blades in the armory. For centuries, the Eldarin monarchy had controlled the fate of their people through alliances sealed by marriage, and the princess's union was no exception. Lyra had been promised to Lord Malvik, a noble of great influence, whose ambition was as vast as the kingdom itself. Yet every thought of him filled her with a hollow unease. It began on the day the human arrived. Lyra first saw him from the balcony of the palace gardens, where the orange light of the setting suns spilled across the terraces. He was unlike any being she had encountered, tall, broad-shouldered, and his features carried a simplicity that seemed almost alien in its sincerity. His name was Kale, and he had come not as an emissary nor a conqueror, but as part of a delegation from the far reaches of the neighboring star system. The court whispered about him, as they did about all humans. Eldarins regarded humans as fragile, unpredictable, yet there was something about Kale that defied their assumptions. He carried himself with a quiet confidence, his eyes steady and unafraid. Lyra, who had been trained in the ways of diplomacy and subtlety, found herself drawn to his presence, though she could not explain why. Their first conversation was brief. In the palace's grand hall, beneath towering banners, Kale had spoken to her with a directness that startled her. "You are Princess Lyra," he said, "and yet I see a strength behind your eyes that no crown can command." Lyra had tilted her head, unsure how to respond. Her people prized words of diplomacy, of nuance and caution. Yet here was a human speaking plainly, recognizing something within her that even she had tried to hide. Days passed, and Kale's presence became a subtle rhythm in her life. He moved among the courtiers with respect but never deference, and in his interactions with Lyra, he asked questions that went beyond protocol. He inquired about her dreams, her fears, and the things she would do if duty did not dictate her path. Lyra began to sense a world beyond the palace walls, one she had never allowed herself to imagine. King Therion noticed. His eyes, sharp and calculating, followed every encounter. He summoned Lyra one evening to the council chamber, a place where the walls were lined with the relics of his ancestors. "Lyra," he said, his voice measured, "the arrangements with Malvik are not optional. Your duty is to our people, not your whims." Lyra held his gaze. "Father, I understand duty, but must it always be a cage? Must I sacrifice every choice for the sake of tradition?" The king's hand tightened around the edge of the table. "You will obey," he said simply. "It is your destiny." That night, Lyra wandered the gardens, her thoughts a storm of conflict. The air was fragrant with alien blooms that glowed faintly in the twilight. She remembered Kale's words, and a spark of defiance lit within her. Could she truly surrender her heart for the sake of protocol? Could she allow the monarchy to dictate her life while the human she had come to know stirred something deep and undeniable? The answer came in the form of a chance encounter. Kale found her near the fountain at the center of the garden, where water shimmered under the twin moons. He did not speak at first, merely observed her, as if he understood the turmoil within her. "You do not belong in a gilded cage," he said softly, "and yet you wear your crown with grace. Why hide your strength?" Lyra laughed, a sound mingling with both relief and melancholy. "It is not hidden," she admitted. "It is contained. For the sake of those who rely on me, I have learned restraint." Kale took a careful step closer. "But what if you chose differently? What if you chose for yourself? Her heart quickened. The question was simple, yet it carried a weight she could not ignore. In the days that followed, Lyra and Cale met in secret, exchanging stories of worlds they had known, and of ambitions that went beyond crowns and borders. In his company, she felt a freedom she had never known. She learned of the human resolve that persisted even in the face of danger, the willingness to act when others hesitated. It was a courage that Eldarans admired, but could not emulate in the same way. Bound as they were by centuries of protocol, the turning point came when the council declared the wedding date. Lyra's heart sank as preparations accelerated, banners and jewels displaying the grandeur of a union she did not desire. That night, under the veil of darkness, she made her decision. She would not betray her own heart, even if it meant defying her father and the expectations of an entire kingdom. When she appeared before the council the next day, dressed in ceremonial robes, she did not walk with the timid compliance expected of her. Instead, she moved with purpose, and when the king demanded her obedience, she spoke with clarity and conviction. "I will not marry Malvek," she declared. "My loyalty is to my people. Yes, but it is also to my own truth. I will follow my heart, and it leads me elsewhere." Gasps filled the hall, and Cale stepped forward, standing beside her without hesitation. "Then you are not alone," he said. "I will stand with you, princess." King Tharian's expression hardened, the weight of centuries pressing upon him. "You defy the throne," he said. "Do you understand the consequences?" Lyra's voice did not falter. "I understand. And yet I cannot live a life dictated by fear or tradition alone. If love is considered rebellion, then I choose it willingly." The courtiers whispered among themselves, some in shock, others in awe. Eldarans were not accustomed to such defiance, especially from a member of the royal line. Yet in that moment, a new current flowed through the chamber, a recognition that strength did not always reside in authority, but in choice. King Tharian regarded his daughter, and for the first time, a trace of uncertainty crossed his features. The bond of royalty was powerful, but the bond of humanity, of genuine connection, was a force he could not command. In the days that followed, Lyra's choice became a symbol. Her decision to stand with Cale inspired those who had long chafed under rigid hierarchy. She and Cale did not abandon the kingdom. Instead, they sought ways to bridge tradition and freedom, showing that love and loyalty could coexist. Cale, for his part, proved himself time and again. When a neighboring fleet threatened Eldara's borders, he led a defense that was both daring and precise, earning the respect of Eldaran warriors who had doubted the strength of a human. His courage, ingenuity, and unwavering dedication demonstrated that the measure of a person could not be defined by origin alone. Lyra watched him, admiration growing daily. The human she had met in a garden had become a partner in every sense. Together, they navigated the complexities of diplomacy, the challenges of defense, and the quiet joys of discovering life beyond palace walls. Eventually, King Tharian came to understand. He saw that Lyra's happiness did not diminish her duty. Rather, it enhanced her strength. She was not weaker for choosing love. She was more formidable, capable of inspiring loyalty and courage in others through her example. The wedding ceremony, when it finally took place, was unlike any Eldara had ever seen. It was a celebration, not of obligation, but of choice. The princess's crown remained, but it shone differently now, reflecting a union forged by heart and conviction rather than decree. As Lyra and Cale stood together beneath the twin suns, the kingdom witnessed something extraordinary. A princess who chose love over the throne, and a human whose courage and honor reshaped their understanding of strength. In that moment, the palace itself seemed to acknowledge the change, the crystal towers catching the light in brilliant patterns, as if celebrating the triumph of spirit over tradition. And King Therion, watching his daughter with quiet pride, realized that the greatest legacy was not in controlling the hearts of others, but in nurturing the courage to follow one's own. Lyra smiled at Cale, and he returned her gaze with the same steady resolve that had first drawn her to him. Together, they stepped forward into a future neither bound by expectation nor limited by precedent, a future defined by choice, courage, and love. In the end, the people of Eldara came to understand that strength was not solely in lineage or decree, but in the courage to act on what one knew to be right. And so, the princess who defied her destiny became a beacon, not only for her people, but for all who believed that the heart could guide even the weightiest of crowns. Lyra's decision echoed across the stars, carried by whispers and songs, a testament to the power of love, the resilience of the human spirit, and the truth that even in a galaxy governed by duty, one could choose freedom without fear. In the quiet of the palace gardens, under the twin moons, Lyra and Cale often walked together, hand in hand. The fountains reflected their intertwined shadows, and the alien blooms glowed softly, as if honoring a choice made not from obligation, but from the deepest understanding of the self. Their story was told for generations, not merely as a tale of rebellion, but as a story of courage, of breaking barriers, and of showing that even kings could learn to bend before the unwavering strength of the heart. And so, Eldara thrived, not back,